Minor correction, ladies and gentlemen. Obama's remarks on Larry King, where he criticized executive privilege and suggested that presidents ought not hide behind it. That was in regard to a subpoena that would have required Karl Rove to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on their investigation of all those fired U.S. attorneys. That's what that was about. Now, we'll get to all these sound bites in just a second. I want to really nail something here with the assistance of my buddy Andy McCarthy at pjmedia.com. Sheila Jackson Lee, earlier this morning, blamed Fast and Furious on Bush. Not the first time. And the Obama administration has a story. They have a narrative about this. And it was in the Wall Street Journal this morning. And here basically is, and this is how we're going to nail them. So listen up. This is the regime's narrative, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. The gun-walking tactics in Fast and Furious turned up in earlier ATF cases during the Bush administration, when they were uncovered by Obama justice officials. A top justice official raised concerns with ATF officials. But the officials never alerted Eric Holder. They didn't do enough to prevent similar cases. They weren't aware the operation was underway until months later. So the Obama administration is saying it all started with Bush. If that's the case, why not put these documents on public display? If it all started with Bush, why executive privilege? If it all started, and you know that Obama's not reticent to blame Bush. Obama's blaming Bush for the economy, along with Europe. If they want to try to hang this on Bush and they say they got documents to prove it, why won't they release them? That would be the fastest way to embarrass Issa, be the fastest way to embarrass all of the conservative media that's been pursuing this. But right here, the officials never alerted Holder. Bush started this, and Holder takes over, and nobody tells him about it. Poor Eric, he didn't know anything about it. And it's certainly not enough to prevent similar cases. And they weren't even aware the operation was underway until months after Obama was immaculated. So Holder, in a letter to Darrell Issa, said the record in this matter reflects that until allegations about the inappropriate tactics used in Fast and Furious are made public, department leadership was unaware. So Holder told Issa, I didn't know this was going on. This started with Bush, and I didn't know about it till after we got in here. Again, I'll take you back. February 4th, 2011, Department of Justice sent a letter to Congress in which they stated that the allegation that ATF sanctioned or otherwise knowingly allowed the sale of assault weapons to straw purchasers to begin transporting to Mexico is false. So in February of 2011, they denied there even was a Fast and Furious. Now they're saying that it all started with Bush. Which is it? And then the letter further stated that ATF makes every effort to interdict weapons that have been purchased illegally, prevent their transportation to Mexico. ISIS committee knows that many people at DOJ wrote that letter and that statement in the letter was false. So as my buddy Andy McCarthy says, let's put aside, for argument's sake, all these various things, and let's just assume that Obama's administration narrative is true. If that's what really happened, doesn't Eric Holder deserve our commendation? Because he brought it to light. It all started in the Bush administration. All this gun running, the Mexican drug cartels, Bush started that. If that's the case, if that's what really happened, what are the chances the administration can't shovel national defense secrets out fast enough to the New York Times that would withhold a paper trail that covers Holder in glory? And Wall Street Journal has this narrative in it this morning that it started with Bush. And if that's their story, why don't they release the documents? Why don't they make Holder a hero? He's the one that called attention to it. Now, this iteration of Fast and Furious began in October of 2009. That's under Obama's administration. Even If you only credit him with things done during the first fiscal year, which began in October 2009, it's still his baby, but they're trying to bring it off on Bush. And if they want to let the documents go. Don't claim executive privilege. And here's another thing. I mentioned Nixon, and this is what's got the press discombobulated a bit. They don't like this. Everybody associates executive privilege with Nixon. He didn't get away with it. Supreme Court didn't allow his assertion. And he wasn't allowed to protect anything. And what he was trying to keep secret was made public, and we know what happened after that. Executive privilege, a vestige of Nixon's desperate effort to conceal criminality in Watergate. The last thing Obama would want to do, with the November election looming, was resort to the Nixon strategy, which failed in the end. But see, again, if the Obama version of this story is true, that Bush started this, and Holder didn't know about it till they were immaculated, and not for a while even, not when he got in there, but it was months before anybody told poor Eric what was going on. Wouldn't they want to release those documents now? Why would they want to protect them? What's in those documents they want to hide? If they could lay this off on Bush, why didn't they do that months ago? Why don't they do it today? Why don't they shovel this, or leak it to the New York Times? And yet, with their narrative, they might. But the fact is, Obama asserts the privilege today. They don't want us to see what's in those documents. And don't tell me that Obama is protecting every president here. Don't tell me that he's asserting executive privilege to protect the executive branch. He doesn't care. Don't tell me that he's asserting executive privilege here for all future don't tell me, because he doesn't care. They don't want us to see what's in these documents. Sheila Jackson Lee, the Wall Street Journal, a number of others are saying Bush started the whole thing. Nobody's going to buy that. But that's their plan. They're sticking to it. Audio sound bites. This morning at the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee hearing, Chairman Issa.
More than 8 months after a subpoena, and clearly after the question of executive privilege could have and should have been asserted, this untimely assertion by the Justice Department falls short of any reason to delay today's proceedings.
Holder thought he had presented treasure trove of documents, unprecedented number of documents. And Issa said, no, this is nothing. He said, what Holder gave us is a joke.
The Attorney General has refused to cooperate, offering to provide subpoena documents only if the committee agrees in advance to close the investigation. No investigator would ever agree to that. The Attorney General says that his offer is extraordinary. The only thing extraordinary about his offer is that he is asking the committee to close an investigation before the committee even gets to see the documents he is pretending to offer. I can't accept that deal. No other committee chairman would.
The ranking Democrat on the committee is Elijah Cummings of the Congressional White Caucasians.
All he requested in return was that you, as chairman of this committee, give him your good faith commitment that we would move toward resolving this contempt fight. Didn't ask for ending the investigation, just ending this contempt fight. And I double-checked with my staff, because when you said that, I heard, I was in the meeting with him, and I heard what he said. He was very clear. It was a fair and reasonable offer, especially in the light of the partisan and highly inflammatory personal attacks you made against him throughout this investigation.
So that's Elijah Cummings of the, I say Congressional White, as Congressional Black Caucasians, and the purpose of his statement there is to defend Holder, claiming that Issa is lying about what Holder offered. No, there hasn't been any personal attack here, but that. Next thing you know, it's going to be race. I haven't gotten to that yet, but it'll be because Holder's black. That's coming next. Here's more of Elijah Cummings of the Congressional Black Caucasians.
You went on national television and called the Attorney General, the nation's highest ranking chief law enforcement officer, a liar. I treat assertions of executive privilege very seriously, and I believe they should be used only sparingly. In this case, it seems clear that the administration was forced into a position by the committee's unreasonable insistence on pressing forward with contempt, despite the Attorney General's good faith offer. Mr. Chairman, it did not have to be this way. It really didn't.
Yeah, it did. Congressman Cummings, it did. Stonewalls. February 4th letter. An abject lie. DOJ lied to the committee. So Congressman Cummings here says that what this really is, the Republicans just want to embarrass Obama. No, he's doing that all by himself. And I'm asking, why are they covering up for Bush all of a sudden? Don't forget. You might have been screening calls. You might have heard this nerdly, but the Wall Street Journal has it today. The regime's narrative is that Fast and Furious started with Bush. Bush started. Eric Holder didn't know about it for months after he was made Attorney General. When he found out about it, that's when all hell broke loose. They started moving things around to stop it. If that's true, release the documents. If this started with Bush, unload on Bush. Why are they covering up for Bush? I'm sick and tired of Obama trying to cover up for Bush's bad deeds. I'm sick of Obama says he can't fix what Bush did wrong. Now Bush started Fast and Furious, which is a crock. Anyway, but Elijah Cummings, Congressional Black Caucasians, the Republicans just want to embarrass Obama.
That's quite likely, and I expect that it will come to a vote. I expect that it will be a vote on party lines, and I think that it will be, I still believe this is an effort to try to embarrass the president.
Okay, well, what else is he going to say? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. We just want to let you hear what he said. Let's go back. Larry King Live, March 19, 2007. He interviewed then Senator Barack Kardashian, who was thinking about running for president. He's a prominent senator at the time. Larry King said, do you, and this was about Karl Rove being subpoenaed to testify before a Senate committee, the Judiciary Committee, looking into the U.S. attorneys who had been fired. Larry King said, do you favor executive privilege, or should Karl Rove and others be forced to testify before the House or the Senate?
There's been a tendency on the part of this administration to try to hide behind executive privilege every time there's something a little shaky that's taking place. And I think, the administration would be best served by coming clean on this. There doesn't seem to be any national security issues involved with the U.S. attorney question. There doesn't seem to be any justification for not offering up some clear, plausible rationale for why these U.S. attorneys were targeted when, by all assessments, they were doing an outstanding job. I think the American people deserve to know what was going on there.
So the guy who asserts executive privilege today said it was wrong for people to hide behind it back in 2007. Bush fired fewer U.S. attorneys than Clinton. Clinton got rid of all 93. His first week in office, he got rid of all 93. This was Bush had fired 7 or 8 here. And they were trying to make a mountain out of a molehill out of it. But Holder admits he's got the documents in question here. He's got them. And they claim the documents indict Bush. Why just turn them over? What's so hard about it? Just turn them over. But if this goes down to party lines, Holder will be held in contempt. The GOP has the votes. They run the House. If it gets that far, if they get to a vote, Holder will be found in contempt. We got to go. We'll come back and continue right after this.